See. What's going on, everybody, whenever or however you're watching? I do greatly appreciate it. Today, me and my friend KillJoy Jake are talking everything spoilers about the newest Texas Chainsaw Massacre. We are probably the worst horror YouTubers here on YouTube. So thank you for watching us.
We're absolutely horrible. Yes.
Yeah, we're terrible. We are. I don't know why you're even watching, to be honest with you. Anyway, thank you for coming on, Jake. I do appreciate it a lot.
Yeah, of course, man. I'm excited to talk about some Texas Chainsaw.
Yeah. All right, let's jump right into our expectations of this film because it had a lot of negativity surrounding it. From horrible test screenings, pretty much no one was giving this movie a shot. What were your expectations going into this film?
I had some low expectations, I will say that. I was worried about some of the production issues. We had our original directors fired from this project, which was scary. Yep. And that's always, that's kind of a given with any movie that has production issues. It's just kind of like, you're going to be a little more worried about it, as well as just a new Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie in general. I mean, the sequels in this franchise don't exactly have the best reputation, unfortunately. So I did go into this with low expectations, but I got a better product than I was expecting. I'll say that, though.
Me too. I thought this was a lot of fun. I think a lot of people, like early reviewers, were not giving this movie a chance whatsoever. When you hear something going straight to Netflix, it's kind of the modern day version of going straight to DVD. So it was,
yeah.
I wanted it to be just like fun, and that's what I got from it. Is it perfect? No, by any means, it's not perfect. It's just a blood, gory mess of a movie, but it's entertaining. With that being said, so the plot of this movie is pretty much a whole bunch of Gen Z kids buy up Harlow, Texas, which is just kind of a rundown town. Pretty interesting premise, a little out there, but I liked how it was kind of organic and new. We haven't really seen that in this franchise. I don't know how they would buy that town. I wonder how much it cost.
I mean, probably not a lot, but I mean, it's a horror movie, man. Yeah. And especially with this movie, we're here for the kills. Yeah, we're not here for the plot.
Exactly. And with this movie, like, if you can nitpick so many things, but I kind of give this franchise a little bit of a pass because maybe I'm desensitized from all the shitty sequels we've gotten over the last, I don't know, 50 years since 1974. So we've had a lot of entries that have been hit or miss. Some are good, some are some are so bad that they're good. Like, in my opinion, Texas Chainsaw 3D is fucking hilariously bad. I love it. I love that film like so much.
It is a train wreck.
Yeah, but exactly. Yeah. You can't look away. Like, that's like a feel good shitty movie I like to watch.
How do you feel about the Next Generation? Real quickly.
The Next Generation. I love Matthew McConaughey.
That's a great answer. Yeah. Hey, Matthew McConaughey's in it. And that's 2 thumbs up. Sure.
And he's doing his wacky, crazy shit, which I like. I think he's like super fun in that movie.
Yeah. He's going absolutely 110% Nick Cage style. So it's great. It's a good time.
Exactly. So the plot is pretty much these Gen Z kids buy up Harlow, Texas, and they don't know that it's home to Leatherface. And pretty much Leatherface's mom dies. That's pretty much what kicks off the plot. He gets pissed off and he starts killing everybody in the town. Very simple premise. I don't really care necessarily about the plot. Like we said, we're here for the kills. And it does deliver on that. The first kill we get in the ambulance when the cop gets like the protruding bone to the neck is just awesome. Like it kind of peaked there for me, but that kill was super badass.
Oh, yeah. That was one of my favorites of the entire movie. And honestly, there's not one kill that I was like, that was okay. No, every single kill across the board is like a 10 out of 10, in my opinion. All of them are really gross.
Yeah, they are. So. And it's like a good blend of like CGI and practical.
Yeah.
I think like there's some shots where it's like, okay, that's a little bit CGI heavy, but it looks pretty solid. Like it's not terrible at all. I think they did a good job.
Oh, yeah. They mostly use the digital effects as, like, cleanup, which I think is, like, typically the best way to do it sometimes, and I do agree with you. Sometimes it's a little too much, but the practical effects are done very well, and they clean it up just a tiny bit with the digital stuff, so it doesn't bother me all that much.
Yeah, it was a good balance. That first scene where the ambulance or the police car, whatever, crashes into the sunflower field, was pretty intense. That was probably the best sequence in the movie, in my opinion. Leatherface pops out of the sunflower field. Looks like he just got done taking a shit or something. That's like the funniest. Like just him popping out of there is so funny. I see so many memes about it on the internet.
Oh yeah,
it's hilarious. And then he kills one of the girls in the car. Pretty cool. It's pretty gory. That sequence was awesome. What'd you think about it? I thought it was cool.
Oh, it was great. I agree. Definitely one of the better sequences in the entire movie. There's a lot of kills that feel like they don't have a chase sequence or something building up to them in this movie. So I liked that this was kind of that. We got like some kind of like chase sequence, and then it led up to a very disturbing kill that we actually don't even get to see the final result of the said kill, the dead body, until much later in the movie. But it's a great reveal. It's super disgusting when Sally Hardesty finds Ruth's body just without a face. So
yeah, there's some like creepy imagery and good like when I come for a Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie, it's mainly about the kills. Like just because like I'm not coming for this movie for some like deep philosophical meaning about life or like. Like
is anyone coming to these movies for that?
I feel like some people like are expecting way too much of this movie. Like, I get it if you're a fan of the original and you want that kind of grindhouse 70s grit to it. But this is just a straight up slasher. Like, if you're disappointed by that, then I've seen people kind of give that reaction. They're kind of disappointed that it's not that 1974 version. We'll probably never get that again. That was just like such a. Like you can't go back to that time period and replicate that.
I think it's possible to capture that same tone again, which is something that I feel like none of the sequels have cashed in on. But we're never going to get a movie. Yeah, none of them really tried to. Like the direct sequel that came out in '86 is just such a wildly different movie, and it's done by the same dude. It's Tobe Hooper again.
Yeah.
But it's a horror comedy. They went like a totally different direction with it. Personally, I really like it. It's a much different movie, but it's fun. That's kind of how I feel with this movie. It's a different direction for the franchise. But if we judge a fish for not being able to climb a tree, it's just not a fair argument is how I feel about it. And that's like, this is a slasher movie at the end of the day. We can't judge it based off of principles that we would apply to the original movie.
Exactly. Yeah, that's probably the best analogy for it. It's just rate it on its own terms, like just rate it for what it is. I think that's probably the best way to say it. But so yeah, that pretty much kicks off the plot. Pretty much Leatherface's mom dies. All these Gen Z kids come into his town. And I was kind of like rooting for him the whole time because he's kind of like, he didn't do anything wrong technically. Like these kids are kind of just taking over his shit and he's kind of like on the defense the whole time. And personally, I didn't care for any of the characters per se. Like I thought some of their arcs were like iffy. Like I forget the girl who's this school shooter survivor. I forget her name, but
so there was it Lila?
Yeah, Lila.
Maybe?
Yeah, there we go. Yeah.
And Lila and Melody were the two main girls. Yeah,
those are the two main girls. And so with Lila's arc, she's a school shooter survivor, and they kind of play off the fact that she's like scared of guns, and there's some kind of gun political ideology in this movie that feels a little bit forced. It just feels like kind of a writer trying to kind of push their political views in the script a little bit. It didn't feel like a natural conversation whenever those kind of gun topics were brought up. I don't care either way. It just didn't feel right in a Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie, in my opinion. We've seen like city folk versus country folk a lot in movies like this, and it's just we've seen it so many times.
It's overdone.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, I didn't really like that.
We see that in the first act a lot. I feel like after that conversation with Richter and Lila, where they're talking about like the machine gun, that's kind of where the social commentary starts to chill out a bit. But it is a bit much in your face at the beginning of this film. I will say that. Yeah,
it's just too like you said, in your face. I could look past that. Whatever. Like I get the message that they're trying to say. It just felt a little bit too preachy, in my opinion.
It like I said though, it kind of chills out after that. The first act, it's really like, yo, like here we are. This is the message we're trying to send. But then it's like, okay, no, then you start seeing some kills, and it's like, all right, cool. So from then on, we get Sally gets introduced about midway through the film. She's I tried to not compare it to Halloween 2018, but when she first gets into the movie, she's wearing the exact same clothing as Jamie Lee Curtis wears in Halloween 2018, like the white tank top,
like the jeans, the old gray hair that's all over the place. Like it's so funny. It's like they saw exactly what made that movie successful and try to kind of replicate that a little bit. But I think they didn't really do it as well, in my opinion. Did you? I know you got those parallels too. Like,
Yeah, it's like if you're someone who keeps up with horror, you cannot deny the similarities between this movie and Halloween 2018. It's hard to miss. And I feel like it's almost like, I feel like it was done purposefully though. I see so many people online saying like, why did they just like accidentally copy Halloween 2018? But no, I feel like it was done purposefully. And why I say that is because we get a different outcome than what happened in Halloween 2018. We see essentially, if you just take that movie and you don't think about Halloween Kills, Laurie Strode overcomes Michael Myers and takes him down. It's kind of a happy ending for the most part, and actually has an ending similar to the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which is kind of funny. But we see something different play out in this movie. We see our legacy character get murdered by our slasher killer this time around. So I think that it was sort of a playful middle finger to Halloween 2018 more than anything.
Yeah, I think you might be giving it a little bit too much credit, but yeah.
Maybe I'm overthinking it. Yeah, you know, maybe you're right, but
I just think like it's like, okay, you bring her back, cool. Like she's not like Jamie Lee Curtis or Neve Campbell. She's not like those type of final girls, like as iconic. Like I think the original 1974 Texas Chainsaw Massacre is iconic, but she's not in the movie for very long to like justify bringing her back, and like you just kill her off. Like that's cool, that's unexpected, but it just felt like you could take her out of this movie and it would have little to no difference.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong. I mean, she really doesn't serve the plot at all, which maybe if she did, I would be okay with what happened to her, but it's like the only scene where she even has any relevant, like has any effect towards the plot is actually giving a gun that works to our main characters. That's it. I mean, literally, if she's not in this movie, it wouldn't have mattered.
She's a plot device to like give her the shotgun, essentially. Like that's like the only purpose she serves. I can't think of any other purpose she serves in this movie besides that.
And that's kind of why I thought maybe there was some commentary on where we are, like some meta commentary in Texas Chainsaw, which is so weird, on just the horror genre where we are right now. So that's kind of how I took it. Maybe I'm overthinking it, like you said. But
yeah, I just don't think this movie's that like deep.
It's not that smart. Yeah, no, I understand that argument 100%.
So the positives though, the kills are awesome. Like throughout the movie, there's some great kills. Like I guess we'll like jump to when what was his name? Was it Dante?
Yeah, the main dude.
Yeah, he his kill's pretty awesome. With he gets killed in the kitchen and the doors like folding back and forth. Like and you see him getting like chopped up in the face. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, the cinematography was amazing in this movie too. That's a great example of it too. When we get this shot of Dante's kill and we can't really see what's going on except for little flashes when the door opens and closes as it's swinging open and shut. Yeah, no, it had some really good moments. Especially this is a great kill, and Dante doesn't die immediately either, which I think is really messed up. He like kind of falls on the ground, he's bleeding out a bit, but then he walks out and all of his friends see that he's missing half of his face.
Yeah. Yeah, like you said, it's a very simple kill, but the cinematography of the door like opening and closing was pretty interesting. Like it made like a simple kill interesting, and the camera work by David Blue Garcia and the cinematographer and the directors did really a great job in this movie. Like it doesn't necessarily feel like the original movie, like because the only reason I'm comparing it to the original is because it's direct sequel, or else I wouldn't be like making all these comparisons. It'd be very jarring to watch that original and then jump into this because they look like so different. And like maybe if this was filmed on film and like had that more kind of grit to it, I think it would like translate a lot better. But like you're telling me this is a direct sequel to 74, it's a little pushing it.
Yeah, and the sets look like sets. That's another big complaint of mine.
Yeah, there's maybe 4 sets in this movie.
Yeah, and it looks like a backlot of a studio. It doesn't look like a little town in Texas. There's also mountains in the background. I don't know if you've been to Texas or not, but there's not a whole lot of mountains.
This is filmed in Bulgaria.
Yeah,
yeah. So that's why. But they do kind of. I think they know that, so that's why they were in sets the whole time, because like you can't. I mean, I've never been to Bulgaria, but I doubt it looks like Texas.
Yeah, which is odd. I mean, I guess maybe it's cheaper to film there. That would be my guess as to why they did that. But yeah, it just doesn't. There's a lot of moments in this film that don't look like Texas at all.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, Liv McKenzie's in the chat. What's up, Liv? How you doing?
What's up, Liv?
Yeah. So, tonally they're different movies, but besides the point, I'm trying to take this movie for what it is. So, let's jump to the. So we got Dante's kill out of the way. Richter dies, pretty badass to be honest. He gets like a hammer to the head, which is pretty cool. And then we get we get Leatherface like digging into the wall to get his chainsaw out, and or Melody's the other girl's name, right?
Yeah, Melody.
Yeah, she's under the bed hiding, and that whole sequence is pretty good. It kind of reminded me of Don't Breathe a lot.
Yes.
Like there's sequences that remind me of Halloween 2018 and Don't Breathe, mixed with like sprinkles of nostalgia and Easter eggs from that original 1974 film. That's like the best way I can kind of describe this movie. It's kind of a blend of all three of those movies.
Yeah, and it's got the fast pacedness, if that's a word, of Don't Breathe, like how those movies are super it is now. You're right. I like that. Yeah. It's very fast paced, like those Don't Breathe movies, which was unexpected for me. Like the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It's not slow, but it's also not fast paced. You know what I'm saying?
The last act really picks up in that movie, but this one feels like it's 83 minutes long, so it's just like it's the perfect length, to be honest.
Once if it was any longer, I would probably have more problems with it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
The editing and pacing for this is exactly what it needs to be. The plots is very bare bones, so it can't be longer than 90 minutes. To be honest with you, like it feels super boring.
There's not too much to these characters, and to just have there's a lot of them that are kind of just written to be body bags at the end of the film. So
yes,
and that's fine with some slasher films, especially the shorter runtime definitely serves this film because of that.
Yes, exactly. So speaking of bodies, all these type of investors come in to buy certain shops and properties inside this town because they want to gentrify it. Essentially, they want to turn it into their own Silicon Valley, pretty much. They want to just buy this shitty town and turn it into their own, which makes sense. Which actually, that plot kind of makes sense because I'm from California, and a lot of people are moving out of California and going to Texas and going to Oregon and all these other cheaper states. So that kind of hit home for me. That made sense. I don't know where they got the money from, like we said, but whatever. So all these investors come in on this big ass party bus, and we get this awesome sequence where Leatherface is just going through this bus and destroying everybody, and that scene alone was just really made the movie fucking awesome, like just super gory.
That was worth the price of admission for me. I mean, that whole sequence, and it's not just like a few swipes and everyone's dead, like this is a long sequence where we see multiple people get murdered.
Like 3 minutes long. It's
yeah.
Like he's just like, I'd be terrified. And one thing we haven't covered yet is the look of Leatherface. Some people don't like the look. I when they first dropped that poster, like 2 or 3 weeks ago, people were kind of like shitting on it. I thought it looked cool. I think it looks creepy. Like it looks like that weird emoji. Like he looks constipated. That's what I compared it to. He looks like he's like shitting on the toilet.
And that's scary. Not being able to poop is scary. That's not a good argument at all. But it looks scary. I like it. Yeah. I like the look.
As an adult, unhealthy bowel movement is terrifying. You never want to have unhealthy. You got to have fiber. Leatherface ain't eating enough bread and oatmeal, so he needs
prune juice, all of that.
Yeah. So his look is creepy, and he cuts off his mom's face, which is even creepier. Like that's terrifying.
He's all upset about her being dead, and then goes and cuts off her face. I don't know, like that's
I think it was an honor, like a badge of honor.
There you go. Yes. Yeah. In his messed up mind, that's what he was thinking. Yeah.
Yeah. And Leatherface is like really smart in this film. Like he's like very I saw a couple other reviews. They compared it to like kind of how Michael Myers is, like kind of like comparison to Michael Myers, how smart he is. Like he's not like some big dummy, running around with the chainsaw. He's actually kind of, he's like has awareness essentially.
Well, it's also been so many plus years since the original massacre, so I mean, I guess he would be a little wiser, right?
Yeah.
I think that makes sense.
He was studying hunting, and all 50 years he was studying. He was ready.
Yeah, sure. This movie doesn't do a whole lot of explaining, but it's fine. It's fine. Yeah,
it's a fun ride. Yeah. What did you end up rating this film? I think we had the same rating. I gave it a 6.5. I thought it was fun.
I gave it a 6.5 too. That's
Yeah.
about what I said, like 6.5. Maybe if I'm being generous, a 7. I don't think there's a plot here, really. There's a lot of things left where you're wanting more or some more explanation for. But we get some of the coolest kills of the entire franchise in this movie. And it's just a really well done slasher film, I think. It's a lot of fun. It's very bloody. You're going to have a good time. It's fast paced too. It's fun. It's a good time. I would recommend it to people too, although it has some problems.
Yeah, me too. But like we said, we're coming here for the kills and continuing on after that, after the bus scene, after all those people get chopped up. Sally kind of comes in to save the day, and she has him at gunpoint with the shotgun. She does the Walter White "Say My Name."
Yeah,
you know, I'm like, like I get it. Like if you just shoot Leatherface, it like right then and there, the movie's over. So, I get the whole "Say My Name" thing, but it just came off as weird. It was just kind of a dumb scene. But I understand, like in horror films, characters make stupid ass decisions. Like you kind of have to accept that. But I thought that was just really stupid.
yeah. I mean, that dude, to me, that felt like they just took the Halloween 2018 script, ripped a page out of it, and put it in their script. I mean, it feels just like a scene right out of that movie, and I don't know. I didn't care for it all that much.
Say something, Michael. Say something.
Exactly. It's the same, dude. It's the same scene.
Yeah.
I mean,
I thought the same thing. I was like, oh my god. It's like this film. Like I think there's a great film in here. But it's just what kind of frustrated me is just the original film was such a pioneer in the slasher genre and really kind of created a lot of the tropes and a lot of other horror movies modeled themselves after that original film. And to see the Texas Chainsaw Massacre turn into a kind of a copycat is so weird. Like I don't get it. Like it's kind of frustrating. It's just like this great franchise that was just really knocked down the doors in the horror genre is now kind of copying other horror movies. It's weird.
Yeah, and you're not wrong, man. I mean, this franchise and like the Halloween franchise, for example, has been going back and forth for years. I mean, that's just kind of unfortunately how it is. But I don't know. I don't mind it. It's fun. Like sometimes it's fun. Sometimes it can be cool to see certain ideas play out in a different franchise opposed to others. But
yeah, George Alexander says the 2003 movie is so brilliant it's hard for me to compare to any other newer movies. Like the next movie should be a direct sequel to 03, bring back Jessica Biel. That'd be cool. I mean, I love the 03 remake, to be honest with you.
I like it. It's good.
Fun.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That and the original are like kind of neck and neck for me. It depends which movie you want to watch. That one's the 03 is kind of more of a slasher.
Yeah.
And the like the 74 versions of Grindhouse gritty film. But what I really wanted in this movie was the Sawyer family. That's what makes really the Texas Chainsaw Massacre franchise scary to me. Just Leatherface is more of the muscle. He's kind of the subservient. He's kind of the henchman. And his family is really the one who's influencing a lot of this. And that was missing in this film, obviously because they died in the original, so they couldn't bring them back. But I thought that was missing in this film a lot. I would love to see the Sawyer family again.
My only thing with that is we've seen a lot of things play out in the sequels that kind of not wants to copy. Like in the sequels, they want to kind of take stuff from that original film, not copy it, but redo it in a totally different way. And I feel like with each return to that, it gets a little diminished. We get another in the 2003 movie, for example. We get a lot of scenes that are parallel to that. We get a dinner scene again, which is like. We don't need any more dinner scenes, dude. There's been so many in this franchise.
Yeah, they've all gotten worse over time.
Yeah, and they just get worse every single time. So I was like, okay, that's cool. But I do agree with you that I think a lot of what Leatherface does, especially in that original film, is influenced from his family and not from himself. It's almost like he's working for them. You know what I mean? He's like the butcher for their family.
Yeah, and he's kind of mentally challenged. I guess that's what the correct vernacular for that. He's not all there. And you can tell he's kind of a troubled kid, and his family is really the one like pulling the strings behind him. I really loved I forget his name. He passed away a couple years ago. Is it Arlie Ermy?
Yeah.
Yep. He's scary as fuck.
Yeah.
He's scary in that 03 in the beginning. I like 03 the remake better than the beginning. I like them both, but
I do too. Awesome. But I will say I like that his role was like not improved. but he had a bigger role in the beginning, I guess is what I want to say, and I like that. I like that he had a bigger role in this prequel film, and he kills it. He kills it in both movies. He's terrifying in that. I love the ending to the beginning too. It's that's a weird sentence, ending to the beginning, but the ending of that film is horrifying. Love it. It's one of my favorite Texas Chainsaw Massacre movies, honestly.
Yeah, I agree. Moving on to the current Texas Chainsaw Massacre film. Oh my God, there's so many how many movies are in this franchise are called Texas Chainsaw Massacre? Like three of them, right? It's so confusing.
Yeah, at least.
Yeah,
at least 3.
You think the Halloween franchise is messed up? This franchise is all over the place. Anyway, so Sally comes back. She dies in like the funniest way possible. She gets a chainsaw to the torso, and he just like tosses her like a rag doll, and it's so fucking funny. Like he just throws her like a football. Like, it's so funny. Like I started laughing when I saw her die. Like I know it sounds messed up, but I thought it was funny.
And then she's just like still alive for the next like 5 minutes too. Which dude, you would be dead. You would be dead on impact with that.
You'd be in shock probably. At least. Like you could have no motor functions at all. Like you would just be. But like it's a horror movie. Like logic is out the window at this point. I mean, we have an 80-year-old Leatherface running around like he's 30.
Yeah, and taking shotgun shells to the chest multiple times.
Yeah, and blocking them with his chainsaw like a fucking shield, which is like this movie is almost like borderline so bad it's good. Like in my opinion, like I think this, I think like I know you hate 3D. I fucking love 3D. I know we talked about this earlier. I love it. Like Do Your Thing, Cuz is hilarious. My girlfriend quoted that last night, and I started laughing so fucking hard. I was like, you know that quote? I was like, oh yeah, we watched that movie like a year ago.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so it was so funny when she brought that up. But yeah, this movie is just like, I watched it again earlier. It's I liked it better the second time. I still give it my 6.5 rating, but it's so bad it's good. Like I love it. Anyway, so Sally dies. We get this kind of final act in this room with like a water pit in the ground, and Lila. There we go, Lila. I keep on forgetting her name. Lila pretty much gains the courage to finally use the shotgun that Sally had. And she kind of, blows him away, and she falls into the water pit with him, and we get kind of this creepy drowning sequence with them. It's pretty scary. Like that's terrifying to me. Like that whole sequence was kind of scary.
Being in a pool with Leatherface? Hell no.
No, man.
I do not want to do that.
No, he's probably smelly and stinky too. Like what? Gross.
All the funk coming off of him when you get in the water.
He has a bath. That was probably his first bath in 50 years. He's a musty motherfucker, man. I just know I could anyway. Anyway, so we get that sequence. It's cool. Like she Leatherface kind of like pulls a trick on her. He like leaves the chainsaw running to make her think that like he's in another spot, and bam, he shows up in another spot. Kind of a cheap little jump scare, but it was smart. Like there's things like that I wouldn't think Leatherface would do. Like he's a lot smarter in this film for sure.
It was a little out of character because I think we've seen him, like you said, he's mentally challenged, and we see that in the original film as well. He's not like obviously the smartest person, not the smartest slasher, and they kind of made him into a Michael Myers in this new film, as well as some of the other sequels. But I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, once again, we were talking about how we gotta treat this movie like it's a slasher. We have to judge it like what it is, because if we don't, then it's kind of unfair. So because this is a slasher, I'm okay with it. It's a little weird, but for a little out of character as well. But I liked it overall. I think it was a cool scene. The third act does kind of fall apart for me a little bit, but this sequence is cool.
We'll get to that. Yeah.
If I'm getting ahead of myself, I apologize.
No, you're good. I don't care. We're fine. I'm trying to keep the timeline straight here. Unlike the Texas Chainsaw Massacre franchise.
Right.
So so we get that scene, and then Melanie, right? God, I don't know. I'm so terrible with names, right? It's
Melody, like a song.
Melody. Yeah, there we go. She comes in and like uppercuts him in the face with a chainsaw, which is pretty cool. Like she like smacks the shit out of his chin. Like, I hurt my chin like when she smacks the shit out of him and he falls back into the pool. I thought that was pretty cool, but I was like, okay, he's probably not dead. Like at that point, I was like, you got to cut his head off. Like I've seen Scream. You got to shoot him in the dome. Like, come on now. Like, and then they They kind of ride off into the sunset in their Tesla.
Or do they?
Yeah, or do they? So they're like having, the cliche, oh, we defeated the bad guy moment. They're kind of talking and like rejoicing and whatever. And I just knew it was coming. Like the way the shot was angled in the car, like there was a lot of like empty space on the side of the shot. And I was like, okay, he's gonna come in like 3, 2, 1, bam. He gets the chainsaw, he breaks open the window, drags her out of the car. We get an homage to the original.
What the hell?
Yeah, it just felt like so like forced and so like just like predictable. And I was just like, is this really the fucking ending? I'm kind of glad she died because I honestly thought her character was kind of annoying, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But she dies pretty cool, though. She gets decapitated. She gets, thrown out of the car.
It's a good kill. We were talking about that earlier. There's no bad kills. It's a gross looking kill.
I thought it was just hilarious how slow the Tesla was going in autopilot. She's like screaming like, no. And like, it's going so fucking slow. And he's just like standing there with her decapitated head. I thought that was so funny.
They tried to film it like the ending of the original, and it's just not the
weird.
same. Yeah, it looks weird. It doesn't feel right. I don't know. I was not a fan of this. And I feel like the only reason they added this stinger scare sequence in there is just to have this post-credits scene that I'm sure we're going to be talking about next, where it's Leatherface going home.
Yeah. Yeah, that was the or supposed to be the original house, right? Like, cause like it didn't really look like it. Cause I was kind of confused on it. I'm like, is that supposed to be his original house?
I guess it was. I'll be honest with you. I watched this at like 3 a.m. So by the time I got to the scene, I'm just like, I don't even know. Like, is that supposed to be the original house? What's like? And it
doesn't look like it at all. Like you guys couldn't go to like the original house is still there. You guys couldn't go to fucking Texas and film that for like 20 seconds. Like, I know you guys were in Bulgaria. You can have like I don't get it. Like I don't. I was so confused. I was like, is that like? I guess that is. I had to look it up. I was like, okay, I suppose.
And what was this to set up a sequel? Like, honestly, I would have rather them just like cut Leatherface in half. They drive off into the sunset. That's it. I would have been fine with that ending. And but this is just, it feels so cheap. It feels so unnatural. I don't know. It's weird. The whole thing is weird.
Yeah, this movie like has like nuggets of goodness, but I see like all the negativity that was surrounding this film. Apparently there was reshoots, so this movie could have looked a lot different from like a year ago. That's when all this kind of negativity was coming out. It was about a year ago when there's a lot of press screenings and audience screenings of it, or test audience screenings, or whatever you want to call it. So it could have been like a lot worse, which is scary to think about. I'm very curious the difference between the cuts of this film, David Blue Garcia's, and then the other pair of directors we got. I'm very curious what was different, because I know like the big thing why those directors quit is because the studio was trying to push certain things into this film. I don't know exactly what, maybe like the gun stuff. Maybe they were trying to push that into this film, trying to force it in there. That actually kind of makes sense because it does feel a little bit shoehorned in there, to be honest.
That and the trying to follow the slasher format to a T, like both of those things feel really forced, and I feel like that's studio implications. They and I don't think I'm not gonna say who the original directors were, but I feel like they maybe wanted to go in a different direction with this and like try to maybe harken back to the original, try to like get like that tone going on. This was just not the film for that. The studio didn't have that in mind with this movie.
Yeah, maybe Legendary Pictures was like, we need to appeal to a younger audience and include this type of like school shooting like aspect to it, because when you do watch the flashback scenes that she has, it feels like that was a reshoot. Like, okay, we shot this in a studio for like 30 seconds and we need some clips of you laying down with at a school with a whole bunch of dead bodies. Like I think that could have been parts of the reshoots of this film.
There wasn't enough of it. You didn't talk about it enough. Like there was just that one scene really where we kind of like sort of got an idea of like maybe what happened to her, and that just wasn't enough for me. I needed a little more backstory on her character to really care about what happens at the ending, I guess.
Yeah, it was very vague, and that's why I thought like, okay, that was probably what the whole like disagreement was between the old directors. They're probably like, we don't want this in the film. Like this doesn't make sense,
It's a cool thing to add in. It's not a cool thing, but I mean, it makes sense to write in for a character like this because she's supposed to be a final girl character. She's
Yeah.
supposed to be like turned into a badass in the third act, where she wasn't maybe at the first act. But once again, I feel like maybe the original directors weren't trying to make a slasher; they were trying to make a psychological art house film like the original. That just wasn't the plan for this movie, I don't think.
No, I could see, like we said, I could see probably where the differences lied. But I think this movie had like no confidence in it. Even the studio had no confidence in it. I don't think Legendary Pictures had confidence this would do well. Obviously, because we got a trailer like 3 weeks before it came out. The review embargo lifted the night it came out, like the second, and that's not always a good sign. Like for instance, for example, the Batman. Warner Bros. Is already lifting the embargo review for that like 2 weeks before it releases. So they're having confidence in films like that. Legendary was like, let's just push this out. Maybe it'll be successful. Maybe it won't. Let's just see, what Netflix can do with it. I'm not sure the amount they sold it to next Netflix for, but I mean, they probably made some of their money back. But it just felt like they did not believe in this film at all, which is sad. And I think, with the slasher renaissance going on, it would be nice to see a really great Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie.
I agree. I think this one was fun, and I'm glad we got another one that was, in my opinion, this is an improvement over the last two installments.
Absolutely.
Nonetheless, though, it still has problems. It's a little rough, rough around the edges, and I feel like maybe if you chop off some of the fat and then add in more like just stuff so I care about these characters a little more, something along those lines, and cut out Sally Hardesty entirely, yeah, you got a good movie here.
Yeah, you could have cut out Sally and added 10 more minutes of character development. Maybe
For
some
the
more
new characters, right?
Yeah, exactly. You could have,
Yeah.
because you're trying to bring back Sally, but then like you don't use her properly. And I feel like it was just like we said, a copy of Halloween 2018. I just don't understand it. I don't get it. I'm not a director or producer at one of these studios, so what the fuck do I know? I don't know. Like, we're just guys here on YouTube making videos, so I don't know.
Yeah. It's a shame. I mean, we're fans. We're what the studio makes it for. So our opinions matter. If that makes you feel better.
Yeah, and we do have influence over like we speak for a lot of fans. To be honest with you, like we're essentially like giving these movies free marketing as well. We play a role in all of this too. Like it's very maybe minuscule as it might be, but we do. Like it's
yeah.
And I'm very curious to see if they do make a sequel. I don't know if it's gonna happen. They're kind of in the same boat that they already are. Like the new Final Girl is essentially Sally again. So it's like if you make another sequel, it's essentially going to be like the same movie as this. Like what more can you do? This is such a vague plot. Like I think that's why like a lot of these sequels fails because there's like no substance to Leatherface. He's just a guy with a chainsaw. Like I know like Michael Myers is just a guy with a knife, but he has type of like a mythical like ability to him, and Ghostface kind of like has the whodunit aspect, but this one it doesn't have a lot of depth.
Yeah. For me, I feel like the best way to do a Texas Chainsaw Massacre sequel moving forward. Nice, JB.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I've been working on it.
The porn stash going. Hell yeah.
I keep it because my girlfriend hates it. You got to have a healthy relationship.
Right. All of that makes sense.
Yeah,
yes, no.
I look like a 70s porn star at the moment. I love it. Anyway,
speaking of the 70s, though, I do think that we could do another sequel, maybe that takes place 2 years after the original film. Well, we have this obsession right now with doing a sequel to a film that takes place today. But like, why don't we do another one that takes place instead of in 73, it's in 76? Why not? That would be cool, I think.
Yeah, I think that would be cool. Yeah, thank you. I picked out a very good sunflower background. Thank you.
It's perfect.
Yeah, I thought it was nice. It was pretty. Anyway, but yeah, but the thing with that is it's like anything you do a sequel to after the original, it's like you're in the same boat as this movie. Because like, are you going to bring Sally back again? Like just cast a younger version of Sally?
theoretically you could, and you don't have to fall into the pit trap that this movie fell into, where it was like you had to write her as some kind of like. Here's the biggest problem I think with this movie with Sally that you could fix is what the hell was she doing for the last 50 some or almost 50 years when Leatherface was literally in the same town as her? You're telling me in all that time she didn't find Leatherface? I think in 2 years after those events, if Sally Hardesty was so committed to trying to find Leatherface and to take him down, I bet a person could do that in 2 years. And I bet we could see a sequel that takes place in the 70s. If you really wanted to talk about social commentary, you could talk about social commentary of stuff from the 70s. You could comment on that. That would be cool. Not every other horror film is doing that nowadays. We have a new Texas Chainsaw Massacre that is just kind of doing a lot of what Halloween 2018 is doing. The new Scream is doing. The new Candyman is doing. I want to see something different in my requels, I guess is what I'm saying.
I know you've seen the trailer for A24's X.
Yeah.
That's like what Texas Chainsaw Massacre should be.
Yes.
Is kind of that. Like, try something completely new. Like, have Leatherface, kill a whole bunch of porn stars. That'd be pretty cool. I mean, that'd be awesome. I would like to see that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I'm very excited for X. I don't know if
too.
you've looked into that, but man, that looks really good. Jenna Ortega's going to be in it. It's going to be great. Yeah. But this series has an aesthetic that it rarely cashes in on. It's that 70s grimy grindhouse look to it. And we didn't see that in this film. We didn't see it in the last three films. And
we haven't seen it in any since the original, man.
Like arguably 2003, but even that movie is still kind of its own thing. You know what I mean? I want to go back to that tone. It doesn't necessarily, like, we can make a slasher film with Leatherface. That's fine. But go back to that 70s aesthetic. Place it in the 70s again. You know what I mean? That's the biggest problem with this franchise. When you have cell phones and you add in all of that, it's a lot harder to write a horror story than it would be to set your story in the 70s.
Yeah, nostalgia is like a big thing right now. We're getting a lot of 80s nostalgia stuff coming in. 80s and horror, are mixing together. Yeah, bring back the 70s. Like we said, what A24's X is doing. If you haven't seen the trailer for that, if whoever's watching, watch it. It's like that's what Texas Chainsaw should do. Like, they should just bring just shake it up. Just bring in something like completely new. Like, just it's just difficult. Though I understand, like, making a horror film's hard. Like, it's very extremely difficult, and I try not to be super critical with movies like this because the plots are simple. We're here for the kills. It's not a lot of substance. You know what you're getting into.
Yeah.
And go ahead.
For the most part, I'm sorry. I just wanted to say I think this movie does deliver on, like, the things that we came here for. And if, like, it's just a slasher. It's a slasher. We got some good kills. We got a badass looking killer going around killing teenagers. Hey, I'll take it, man. I'll take it. I'll take what I can get from this movie.
Where does this rank for you? Is this I saw you had a ranking video. Is this towards like the middle, the latter half, the front?
It's like in the middle. It was number 5 for me. I put both of the remake and prequel movies above it, and then I put 2 and the first one above it.
Yeah, I would probably I like the remake as my favorite. I think that's like the easier to watch. It's like more fun. Jessica Biel's really good, and like I like the chase sequences in that movie. Then I would probably put the original. Part 2 is pretty fucking wild. It's pretty kooky. And then I like 3D too, man. Like, a lot of people shit on 3D. I like 3D. I will defend that. I will defend 3D like with my heart. I think it's so bad it's awesome. Like, that movie's wild, but at least it's entertaining,
Yeah, I mean, it has some cool moments throughout. I think it's just I don't know. I've personally never been a fan, but I get the appeal. It's got some fun characters too. I think 3D does. So I don't know. There's at least that.
Yeah.
Were they teenagers? That's a great question, honestly.
I think they were adults. I mean, maybe like the main
very young adults.
Yeah, was a teenager. I mean, if to get a bank loan, they got to be adults.
Right.
You know what I mean?
At least 18, right?
Yeah. JBS, I think the 70s horror was brilliant. Add an extra layer of horror to these movies. The OG Leatherface is terrifying. Not having cell phones was the easy way. Yeah, that's true. Like, but even in this movie, they didn't even like use. They used cell phones, but it was just they were in the middle of nowhere, so like they couldn't really like do anything. That's like one thing about this franchise. It's super terrifying. It's just like the original felt like an old dusty VHS tape that you're not supposed to watch.
Yeah.
It feels real. Like
Mhm.
it feels like this was a real documentary style movie. So like I definitely see that. He says 3D deserves more love. Exactly. Exactly. Thank you so much. Jake hates that movie.
Hate's a strong word.
Disliked.
I dislike that movie. There we go. Yeah.
It's just so batshit crazy that it's just, oh my god, the digital blood is so funny. It reminds me of like Sharknado or something.
Yeah.
Like it's just like,
Yes.
it's like, is this intentional? Like how bad it is? Like it's so impressive how like terrible it is, and the timeline is like Alexandra Daddario's character is supposed to be like 40, but she's like 20. She's like the best looking 40-year-old ever.
I know, like what? And she's in this house with a bunch of other young people too. So it doesn't. I don't know. The whole thing just doesn't make any sense to me.
They have iPhones, and it's supposed to be like 1994, but it's like 2011 or whatever.
But once again, it's like, hey, can't judge this movie for being something else if it's not really caring about those things. But
yeah,
I will say I kind of feel that way about the next generation. I know we're supposed to be talking about the new one, but
who cares?
It's tough
we
not
talk
to,
what we want to talk about.
Yeah, it's tough not to talk about some of the other sequels in comparison, at least. And with the next, like, I don't think anything's going to be as big of a train wreck as Next Generation. That movie genuinely did not know what the hell it was doing, and that's a so bad it is good movie. I mean, it is so ridiculously funny because of how bad it is. And it also helps that there are Oscar award-winning actors in that film as well.
That's the reason why that movie came out. It was initially shelved until like their careers took off, Renee Zellweger and Matthew McConaughey. If their careers never took off during like the mid to late 90s, we probably would have never gotten that film.
Yeah. It's crazy to think about.
Right? Like, oh my god. Like Matthew McConaughey is awesome in that movie. He's just a fucking weirdo. I love it. That movie's weird, man. Like, I don't know what the fuck. Like, I don't know, like I watched it. I watched all the movies before I watched this one. That movie was rough. Like it was like there's some so bad it's good elements, but Leatherface just being this whiny fucking whatever he is. He's just out there. It's entertaining though. Like I do give it that. I'll watch it. Like it's kind of funny. But
it's tough to get through at points. Yeah, no, I agree.
there's some dark shit in this franchise, man. This franchise has a lot of peaks and valleys. Like it's in the valleys. Some of the valleys are like fucking like,
low.
It's a wild roller coaster.
Yeah.
Oh my god. I'm speechless with some of these, but it's just sad that they can't find consistency. That's the main thing with this. There's no consistency in this franchise. It's just they can't get past two movies, whether it's like a sequel or a prequel. They just go back and forth, and it's just either way. It's like they can't get past a sequel or a prequel. It's like either it's weird.
Well, it's kind of like, let's compare it to today's A24 movies. Like, it would be like if you tried to make 8 sequels to Hereditary. Like, what would you do? You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of how I feel about this franchise. There has been a lot of cool things to come out of the sequels and remakes. Yeah. Like, I love the 2003 movie. I love the beginning. I really like the second movie. But you have to admit, all 3 of those films are nothing like the original. And if they were to do that to like an A24 movie to make a sequel to, like, for example, Hereditary, Midsummer, it would have to be wildly different in tone because those movies end with a certain ending that, yes, is left like ambiguous. It's not like directly like, hey, here's what happened or here's what's going to happen next. It leaves it to the imagination. But I feel like a sequel would ruin that. And in a way, I feel like some of the sequels for Texas Chainsaw do ruin what the original did, but like at the same time, there's a lot of good movies. So it's like I like them, I enjoy them, they're great. You just have to separate them from the original, I guess.
Yeah, and with that one, it's just the original. It was like very bloodless.
Yeah, it's really not a slasher film, man.
For a Texas Chainsaw Massacre, you would think there'd be a huge massacre, and 4 people die in that movie.
Yeah.
also, I hate Franklin. Like he's so annoying.
Yeah, I hate Franklin too,
bro. Like I that was kind of rough to watch him. Like he plays his character well. He's supposed to play, annoying weirdo. I wanted him to die so fast. I was just so annoyed. Like, he's just so annoying. Like, I'm like,
yeah, the characters in the 2003 movie are a little easier to stand.
They're a lot better. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're a lot better. I think I
For
know
sure.
I don't know if that's the popular opinion to put the remake over the original. You know, some franchises, you know, if you put
Appreciate it.
if
Sorry.
you put no, you're good. If you put like the Halloween Kills over the original Halloween, you would get like a, you know, pitchfork to your neck. So I'm not like a huge fan of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre franchise. Like, I'm a casual fan. This month I've kind of, you know, been more of a fan, just rewatching them all. I see the appeal. I get it. Like, I see the audience there. So
There's a
yeah.
lot to love in this franchise. I think it gets crapped on a lot, but it's still good. There's a lot of good movies in this franchise, and even though like we were saying, it's got some low valleys, there's some great peaks as well.
Yeah, Black Widow asks, so if they have a sequel, what do you think they will do now? I have no idea. We were just
Great
talking about
question.
that. We don't fucking know. Your guess is as good as ours. Like, I
couldn't tell you, dude. I mean, maybe like what you were saying earlier, the only route they could go is do the exact same thing again, but with Lila in Sally's role, which what we were just saying was Sally's role wasn't significant to this movie at all. So what the hell do they do for another movie?
Exactly. And he's supposed to go back home. So the post-credit scene, we're assuming, is the original house where he lived. Maybe he starts his own orphanage and has a henchman of other Leatherfaces. That'd be cool, like a Cult of Chucky thing, you know? I don't know.
Leatherface babies.
At this point, go fucking crazy. Like, do something wild. Leatherface in space. I'm fucking down. Let's produce it.
Leather space? Would
Yeah,
that be the title?
Space. Perfect. Leatherface X.
Leatherface X, yes.
Yeah, just like Jason X. Just, you know.
Bubba X.
Yeah.
We got to write these titles down. What are we doing?
I'm saving up the money to produce this. We're doing it. JB asks, on a scale of 1 to 10, where does this movie fall compared to the other entries? So ranking them, I put it in the middle. Like, it's probably because there's 9 movies, 10 movies. How many are there?
There's 9 movies now.
Okay, so yeah, towards the middle.
Yeah, I put it as 5, and I gave it like a 6.5. I think we kind of agreed on that. We were both about 6.5 out of 10. So
yeah, Black Widow asked, the movie should have been called Bulgaria Chainsaw Massacre. Exactly. Yep. This isn't the first. Leatherface 2017 was filmed in Bulgaria, I believe. Like, I think so. Yeah. So this isn't the first movie that was filmed in Bulgaria. I get why it's a lot cheaper to film in other countries like that. Way more better tax incentives if you film in Bulgaria. And I don't know how the tax incentives worked in Texas, but I know some of the cheapest places to film in the United States is like Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina, places like that. You get like a really good tax incentive.
East Coast, yeah.
Yeah, that's where Scream was filmed. That's where Halloween was filmed in those areas. So, yeah, Bulgaria Chainsaw Massacre sounds about right. Maybe that's the sequel. You know,
we take Leatherface to another country or another state. Has he been out of Texas before? Is the question.
Oh, hell no.
No.
No. Leatherface Euro trip. There we go. We're gonna take Leatherface in Europe. Black Widow assholes. They should have named it that and went with the newer story that we aren't familiar with. Yeah, I agree. But like we said, they're kind of stuck. I don't know where they're going with it.
Because if you continue to make slasher films in this franchise, you're gonna have problems. What's up, Jonathan? How's it going?
What's up, Jonathan? How you doing? Thank you for joining the stream. We're talking shit about this franchise, so thank you for joining in. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, with if you keep making slasher films in this franchise, you're just gonna keep running into the same problem. I feel like maybe to change that up, which I know you were kind of saying like, well, if they try to recreate the magic from the original, it might not come out the same. I agree, but like they should try to go back to that psychological horror format. I feel like instead of trying to push this into the format of a typical slasher movie.
I'll tell you this. What franchise do you think we'll get first? Do you think we'll get a sequel to this, or we'll get like another Friday or another Nightmare on Elm Street? Because this movie could push the Texas Chainsaw franchise back, we might not get another sequel to this like ever, or we might not get another entry in the franchise for a while. So do you think we'll get another Texas movie or a Friday or a Nightmare? What do you think's going to come first?
Well, even though this movie has some very mixed reviews, it's not caught up in a bunch of legal problems, which the
True.
Friday the 13th franchise is right now. But I mean, I guess we're kind of getting past this lawsuit and all that. I still think it's going to be a little while before we get another Friday film, but God, I want a new Friday the 13th movie so bad. And just a massive shout out to, yeah, there we go. We got Jason in the background there. And we got little retro pixel video game Jason as well, which is nice.
He's my favorite. I love this. This is like I want to make a necklace out of this and just wear it all the time.
It's so cute.
I know he's so cute. I love Friday the 13th.
Oh, it's a great franchise.
Yeah, Jonathan says X looks like a real Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie. We just talked about that about 20 minutes ago. Like that's what I want the franchise to be. Like I want them to do something different. But yeah, I hope I hope this franchise eventually finds its footing. It's not looking great. Maybe this is the last we ever see of it. I don't know. Probably not. There's a lot of hype with this. Like a lot of people have watched this. It's a huge IP. We're probably gonna, it's gonna be the same thing. We're gonna wait 5-10 years and we'll get another entry.
Yeah, there are some franchises you just can't kill, and I feel like this Halloween, I would say Friday the 13th, but we haven't gotten one of those since 2009. There are just some franchises you can't kill. There's always going to be a want for another sequel, and I'm totally down for that. I'm down to see more reimaginings of these characters.
Yeah. Black Widow says the Texas Chainsaw Massacre game will make up for this movie. I hope so. I really want to stream that. Like I loved Friday the 13th, the video game. Hopefully this is a little bit different. That game is a little bit different than Friday the 13th, but it'll probably end up being like the same. So, but I'm excited for that game. Hopefully it does make up for this movie. Like that seems pretty awesome. They're kind of going back to the original with the game. So I'm excited for that. That comes out later this year, I think, or I don't think there's a exact date announced for the release, but that looks pretty fun.
I have not looked into it yet. I am curious to play that though, for sure.
Yeah. Liv says, I can't wait to see X. Me too. That comes out March 18th, I think, as of right now.
I believe so, yes.
Yeah, so.
It's going to be a better Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie than this was. So
yeah, and we know very little about it as well. Like we don't really know a lot about that movie. We know it's kind of just like these group of porn actors shoot in the middle of Texas or wherever, and strange shit starts happening to them. So I'm excited.
I will say my only thing with the trailer is it kind of gives away the ending, which I don't know if I should elaborate a little more on.
Yeah,
but,
we probably shouldn't.
Yeah.
Yes. Jonathan asks, I was told the trailer for Bodies is coming in March. I haven't heard of that. Have you heard of that, Jake?
Yeah, that's another A24 horror movie. It's going to be their dive into a slasher film, which is really interesting. Jonathan was actually talking to me a little bit about that. It's going to be a little bit like Scream and Clue mixed together, but a really bloody version of both of those things.
Oh, okay. I'm down for that. I love murder mysteries. Knives Out 2 is something I'm looking forward to. I love just like, that's why I like Scream a lot too. It's just the whodunit murder mystery scenario. Maybe we make a Leatherface who done it. I guess we kind of got that with Leatherface 2017. That was kind of a guessing game of who Leatherface is.
Yeah.
But like, I want to see the franchise going something crazy. Like I want to see them. I want it to be like the early 2000s where we got just like really out there crossovers and weird movies like Jason X and Freddy versus Jason.
Who would Leatherface fight in a versus movie?
Jason.
You think Jason?
Yeah, like or Myers. That'd be cool.
Yeah,
those will probably be the only two that could physically be a threat to Leatherface.
I could see Michael Myers and Leatherface fighting. What would be the excuse to bring them together, though? Sorry, now you got me on this. I can't stop thinking about it.
Oh my god, I don't know.
We'd have to sit down in the writing room, I think, to come up with that.
Yeah, maybe
it'd be a really elaborate idea. So.
Yeah, I have no idea. Maybe like Michael's fixing that radio tower, and Leatherface just is like, doing some yard work, cutting down the sunflowers, and they just meet up, and like it's his fate on sight. It's just instant beef.
Instant beef.
Yeah, they don't
like the look of each other. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, hey, you got a mask, I got a mask. There's only one fucking person that can have a mask, and you got to die, bro. That's pretty much that's what we need. I need bloody kills. Also, I'd rather see Ash versus Leatherface. there was supposed to be Ash versus Freddy versus Jason in like the early 2000s. I think that got canceled for sure. But the Evil Dead franchise is another franchise that is going to be very interesting because we got the remake from Fede Alvarez, who produced this movie. He but produce is kind of a vague word because we don't like. I guess he came up with the plot for it, and they kind of threw his name on the promotion to this movie, which was kind of cheap. It was like the director of Don't Breathe and the mind of Don't Breathe 2 and Evil Dead. And it's just like, all right, like we get it. Like we know what you're trying to do. Like just chill. Like we get it.
I will say that the story was conceived by them. They did not write the screenplay though. Was Fede Alvarez and Rodo Sayegas. They came up with the story, but they didn't write the screenplay. So they were mostly just like producers on this film more than
I would have loved to see Fede Alvarez direct this movie and then write it.
100% agreed.
Yeah, it could have been. I'm curious to see what that would have been. Jonathan says, I'm going to be Leatherface's age. We get another Friday the 13th. Fucking tell me about it, dude. 2009. 2009. I remember seeing that movie in theaters. That was the first, like, Friday the 13th film I've ever seen in theaters. I didn't see Freddy versus Jason, but I saw that movie, and I loved it. Like, I love the remake. I really do.
I do too. It's good. It's got some good kills.
Yeah, the Friday the 13th franchise is another one where I really like. I like Jason Lives. I like the final chapter, the remake. I even like Jason X. I do. I think it's so bad.
It's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
And like with slashers, that's kind of like that's fine. Like I like that. Like I think that's like some movies. I like shit. Sometimes I like shit, and it's okay to like shit. There's nothing wrong with that.
There's a lot of B horror movies out there that are so bad they're good and they're enjoyable. Have you ever seen like any of the 8 Leprechaun films?
Oh yeah, Leprechaun in Space is another one.
Yeah,
Leprechaun in the Hood. Like they're oh my god, they're awesome.
In the Hood and Back to the Hood.
Yeah, they're awesome. Black Widow said, I saw a video of Garcia saying they brought back Sally to honor her and pass the torch. Like no, yeah, I don't know if they honored her. Like I guess they kind of did. She did kind of theoretically pass the torch.
Sure.
Yeah. They attempted to. I'll give them that. It's like she had like the actress that played her had like one day of shooting, and they're okay. We'll just shoot like these 2 scenes, and like just.
And I like that actress, Olwen Foray or whatever her name is, however it's supposed to be pronounced. She was in a movie called Mandy. If you've ever seen Mandy.
I've heard of it. I've never seen it.
Highly recommend. It's a really weird Nick Cage horror movie. And she's great in that. And she was fine here, but she like once again, I just feel like her character had no purpose towards the plot. And I don't know if it was disrespecting the character. I mean, they definitely had some kind of agenda with her, but like it's weird. Did they throw the torch in the trash? Yeah.
Yeah, kinda. Yeah.
This is a dumpster fire, so yeah, that works really well with that.
They kind of low-key disrespected her, but whatever. Honestly, like Sally's like I kind of feel the same way about like Alice from the original Friday the 13th, the way I feel about Sally. Like she's kind of the final girl, like by default. Like she's kind of just ended up being the last one there.
But there's just not as much character to her as there is with like Sidney Prescott or Laurie Strode, and I agree with that.
And those movies are a lot longer and a lot more dialogue heavy. So you're going to get more development with Sydney, with Jamie, even with Alice. There's probably, or Amy Steele from Friday Part 2. There's like, even though the movie's shorter or probably like damn near the same length as the Texas Chainsaw Massacre movies, you get a lot more dialogue heavy scenes and a lot more development from those characters.
I've always felt like Tommy Jarvis was more of the final guy. In the Friday movies, opposed to any of the other characters before. So
Leatherface did Sally quick, and he threw the shit out of her. Critical Overlord had a funny tweet about that. Like he tweeted out a GIF of like someone getting thrown into a trash can, and like the way like that person got tossed in the trash can was like exactly how like Sally got tossed, and it was hilarious.
I will say the one thing about that was cool though was there's a dark side of my twisted mind that always wanted to see like what if they did bring back a legacy character like this and just immediately killed them off. There was some kind of satisfaction in that, but it's just not the best storytelling. You know what I mean?
I
So
think it depends on like which final girl it is. Like if this was Sydney Prescott, like the world would explode.
yeah,
You know,
100%.
yeah, and like I guess with Texas fans, they're like, all right, fuck it, we'll see whatever. Like I feel like Texas Chainsaw Massacre fans are way more like forgiving, than other franchises like Scream. Like because Scream has a lot of consistency. There's a lot of great movies in that
There's
franchise.
a lot of story to it as well that they have
Yeah.
to keep consistent. Where in this movie, maybe not as much.
No, they're used. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre fans are used to heartbreak, so it's like it's like being a fan of a bad sports team. You constantly fucking lose. You maybe have one good season every now and then you cheer.
I live in Cleveland and I'm a Browns fan, so I know
Exactly.
all about that.
That's the best comparison. Being a Texas Chainsaw fan is like being a Browns fan. You've been shit for like 100 years. You win one playoff game every 10 years, and you rejoice, and you feel like a victory.
Small victories, and that's all we get.
Exactly. I love the comparisons that we're doing. This is amazing.
It's great.
But overall, like I had a good time with this film. I think it's fun. I think if you get your friends around, crack open some beers, and just have a good time, and just eat some popcorn. Maybe be on your phone halfway through the movie and watch the good parts. And imagine the theater going experience to this movie. Like if this movie was in theaters, I think it would have been. I don't know how. Like, I think I'm more forgiving that it was on Netflix because I didn't have to necessarily like pay $20 to go see this. Because I would invite me and my girlfriend and my friends. So it gets expensive, but kind of this is like kind of the perfect straight to Netflix movie.
Yeah, no, I agree. I don't think this would have a theatrical release. It's just not up to par with some of the other movies in theaters right now either. I don't know. It's fine. It's good. Got some great kills. It's fun. What like we were talking about earlier, the fast pace, it really serves this movie because if it was any longer, I would lose interest so fast. These characters are just not written to be very interesting, unfortunately.
Yeah, we're in a weird state of work because since the pandemic has happened, a lot more movies have been going to streaming, which I guess is a good thing and a bad thing. Like I guess whatever way you want to look at it, I think for movies like this, it makes sense. It's like, okay, it's not like you drove out to the movie theater, paid for parking, bought expensive ass popcorn. I'd probably be pissed more if I saw a shitty movie in theaters than a movie on Netflix or Hulu or whatever.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that.
Yeah. Jonathan said, I watched it with my grandmother and she is traumatized. Oh man. I can never get like my family to watch horror movies. Like I'm like my girlfriend doesn't really like horror movies. I kind of force her to watch it, but I'm like that's why I started a YouTube channel, man. Like I don't have a lot of people to watch horror movies with, so it's kind of my outlet to speak my mind on these topics.
I say it in every video. I have no friends, but I watch a lot of horror movies.
You're a goddamn liar. You have friends.
Yeah, I do.
I watch your videos.
You got me.
I'm like, you're a fucking liar. I'm your friend. You have plenty of friends. You need to change that. I'm Jake and I have friends and I like horror movies.
I wonder how many people watch my videos and are just like, this guy's a fucking liar.
Yeah,
that's the first thing they think. Yeah, you are the one. You are the one to think that. That's
yeah. I'm gonna call you out if you need to change your you need to change that intro. In your next video, I'm gonna be looking for that. I'll be looking for like, all right, let's see if he changes it.
My next Texas Chainsaw video, I'm gonna say that.
Yeah,
I got you.
Yeah, you need to. I'm excited to. I'm excited for the rest of the horror movies coming out this year. There's a lot of good stuff. Like we've gotten like an oversaturation this last. I mean, we've gotten we got Halloween Kills last October. We got Scream. We got this. We got so many other stuff coming out. X, Chucky season 2. I mean, there's a whole bunch of stuff coming out. It's weird because I think pre like 2018 horror films were like not really coming out as consistently as they are now.
Yeah, we're getting a big new wave of horror films, which I really enjoy. I mean, we're kind of going through like another horror renaissance as well too. We're
Yeah,
with the
exactly.
it's almost like the requel phase of horror, which
Yeah,
is
we
cool.
are. It's like how the early 2000s was the remake, and then we got like weird 3D movies. Like we're in like horror comes in phases.
Yeah,
It has a lot of phases.
and it's always been like this. I see a lot of people like, criticizing like where we are right now, and it's like, why is every movie copying each other? Go back to the '70s; they were doing it then too. It's always
Yeah,
been this way.
it really has. Black Widow says, I think Ready or Not creators could tackle a Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie. Yeah, Radio Silence could. They're probably too busy with Scream. I mean, we'll see. That'd be
I
interesting.
wonder, yeah, I wonder what their take on Leatherface would be.
I
That's
don't
interesting.
know. You got to be extremely creative to bring some substance to this franchise because it's going to be difficult because there's not a lot of depth, like we said. So you have to come up with some crazy shit. That's why I said, Leatherface in space. Let's do it. You know?
Hell yeah, hell
Yeah.
yeah.
Jonathan also says, I hear Evil Dead Rise is really good and Hellraiser is coming this fall. Yes, I heard it's on Hulu, right? I think it's
Yep.
on Hulu. That's going to be
Yeah.
interesting. Hulu originals are kind of hit or miss as well.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know if you've seen any of those Blumhouse movies that they do on there, like the Into the Dark series. They do like these
No, I
like a movie
haven't.
once a month. They're fine. It's nothing crazy, but
You'd be surprised that like a lot of horror films that I haven't seen. I saw Jaws for the first time like 3 months ago, and I was like, oh, like it's like one of those.
what?
Yeah, I
Oh,
know.
dude.
Hold on. I know, I know. It's just like one of those movies I've always known about, and I know the plot. It's like Star Wars. It's like Empire Strikes Back because it's ingrained in pop culture. It's just one of those movies I just never got around to seeing because like I felt like I've seen it, but it's fucking fantastic. I love Jaws. Jaws is great.
Oh
It's
yeah, it's one of my all time favorites for sure. That's a
yeah.
great movie.
Liv says I'm excited for Nope. That's for sure. Hell yeah. Me and Jake both have videos on our channels talking about Nope. Check those out for sure. But Nope is gonna be interesting. I'm excited. Jordan Peele is one of those creators who's making organic horror movies that are new and different, and I like that. It's kind of refreshing. Like I love all the old IPs. I love Scream, Halloween, whatever, Hellraiser, but it's nice to see something new.
It's
You
also
know,
excited to see other people get excited about something new that isn't just a sequel or a requel. We're getting people getting excited over fresh new ideas again, which is great.
yes, it's and what's your opinion on Us? I like Us. I think it's a little too ambiguous. Like the ending's a little too. I don't know. I don't know what the right word for it is. It's like a little too like left open to interpretation for my taste. Like I want a little bit more finality in my movies. If that
I
makes
see.
sense.
I understand. I
Mhm.
understand where you're coming from. Personally, I kind of like that because it is more mysterious, and that's always been something that scares me more. Is when you don't have all the answers.
Yeah.
But I do agree. You do have to have a little bit of. You have to have a little bit of knowledge of what's going on, and I feel like we get at least a little bit of knowledge because we do get that TV broadcast where it kind of shows you this is happening all over across continental United States, and it's scary. It's a really scary concept to think that there's a clone of you somewhere coming to kill you and take your place. It's
You should
it's a terrifying concept.
you should do a locations video for Us, like because I grew up in the area. It's filmed in Santa Cruz, California.
Yeah,
That beach, that whole beach scene, that whole carnival. I've been there so many times. It was so cool.
dude.
Yeah, it's literally like 2 hours where I live. Like it's a very famous beach in California. It's really awesome. It's like a carnival. There's rides. There's prizes. Like it's a really cool beach. Like it's really awesome. And like if you went there, you'd be like, oh shit, like that's where like like you would. It'd be so cool to see that. Like I would love to see you do a video on that. That'd be awesome.
Well, speaking of locations videos, man, I mean, I guess we can kind of announce this now since we're on the topic. I
Yeah,
mean,
go,
if that's cool
hey,
with you.
go for it.
I
Go for it.
So I do a big series on my page where I talk about I go to the locations for different horror films, and I'm doing one on Scream from 1996, and I'm going to Northern California to film it, and Zoe's gonna be in the video. We're gonna meet up, and we're gonna go to
Yes.
Stu's house, go to a lot of the locations from that original film that were filmed in the area. I'm very excited for it.
I'm excited. I live in Northern California. It's my backyard. I'm about like an hour and a half away from the Scream location. It's near Santa Rosa, California. Have you ever been to California before?
I have never been to California.
It is beautiful. Rent is expensive, but you kind of understand why when you get here. There's no humidity, and coming in March is probably the best time. It's a little bit rainy, but it's like 70 degrees mostly. It's Santa Rosa is beautiful. It's like wine country. It's like near the Bay Area. It's a beautiful place, and you see why. Like when you go there, you'll see why Wes chose that area. Like there's some amazing houses out there. Like I'm excited. It's gonna be fun. Like it's I'm excited. I can't wait to do that video. So
Oh yeah. Well,
yeah.
I actually was at, now you're suggesting this, that Santa Cruz. I didn't even think about us.
Yeah, it's right
Man,
there.
might have to do a locations video for that too. Why not?
It's literally I don't know exactly how far, like I don't know if you want to tackle that in like 2 days, but it's
oh no,
not,
that would not be too.
Yeah,
that would be
take
like
a
a
while.
couple of days to
Yeah.
do both those videos. Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be a lot. But the areas where Scream was shot at, it's so pretty. Like I've watched other locations videos, and I'm so excited to go there. Like there's so many, like it's such a great part of California. I like Northern California better than Southern California. It's just a whole different vibe. It's more naturey, it's more greener. And
That's
it's like,
kind of, that's more my vibe. I feel.
Yeah.
I think I'll like that. Yeah.
yeah, it's gonna be wild coming from Ohio to California. You're probably gonna fall in love, and hopefully you're probably like move here or something. Like you're like it's crazy. Like it's gonna be world changing.
There is a foot of snow on the ground over here right now, and it sucks. I would
That's-
trust me. I would much rather be where you are.
Yeah, it's like 78 degrees where I'm at. So
Oh God, that must be nice.
yeah, it just I've always wanted to go to the, speaking of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I've always wanted to go to the house. I've always wanted to go there. Like because it's just like one of those old relics that like I want to see. I don't know how what the state of that house is like now. I don't know. Like it's probably old as shit. It's got to be old, 'cause
Probably.
It looks old in the 74. It looked like it was built in the early 1900s. So
It's still up. Like that's my
Yeah, it
biggest
is.
question.
yeah, I don't
can't
know
believe
how.
that.
I don't know how. I get how the Scream houses are still up. Like those are relatively new houses, but like this one, I'm like, Jesus, how does that still up? That'd be a cool locations video too. I'd be interested to see that. But you probably have to go there in like winter, because it's probably hot as shit in Texas like these upcoming months.
Oh yeah. Oh, I can imagine. A summer in Texas, I hear is dreadful. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know. Jonathan says, I'm so excited to start my YouTube channel later this year. Awesome. Are you doing horror stuff? Hopefully that'd be cool.
yeah.
There's a lot of great people in this community. A lot of it's probably one of the best communities on YouTube. Like it's very like drama free for the most part, except you and Fate hate each other.
Yeah, we absolutely hate each other. Oh yeah.
Yeah, your guys' beef is like fake beef was hilarious. I thought that shit was so funny.
Thank you.
Yeah. You guys are like, you guys secretly hate each other in real life. You guys,
Oh yeah, we definitely hate each other. We live stream together twice a week. Yeah, I bet we hate each other. So
hey man, you can hate your friends. That's fine.
yeah, no, he's a great guy. Yeah.
Liv says it's Matt's birthday.
Oh no way.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Heck
Nice.
yeah, he's from the Bay Area too. We're like, he's an Oakland A's fan. I think I saw him at like an A's game one time, but I was too scared to go up to him.
Oh man,
Yeah,
I would geek out in front of him.
I wasn't
love the
sure
Radio
though.
Silence
Like
guys.
it looked like him, but I wasn't sure. But I'm like 90% positive it was. My hands got sweaty, dude. I was like, yeah, I can't do this.
My hands are getting sweaty just thinking about it.
I get nervous just like recording YouTube videos, dude. My anxiety is like just hitting live on this stream makes me like I know like I sound calm and collective, but I'm a nervous wreck sometimes. I don't know what it is.
It's stressful. I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
you never know who's on the other side of the camera, you know?
Yeah, it's
So-
stressful just making content in general.
Yeah.
So to start to close out this stream, we've been going on for a while now, but
Yeah.
what is your favorite iteration of Leatherface? We've had 9 movies now. What is like your favorite Leatherface out of all these movies?
I mean, man, nothing beats Gunnar Hanson. I think that will always be my favorite incarnation of Leatherface. I do really like all of the Sawyer family characters in Texas Chainsaw 2. It's a much
Hmm.
different iteration. It's much sillier and much more wacky and ridiculous, which is fun. But I think the first movie will always be my favorite version for sure. He's just so brutal. It's disturbing, and the slamming of the door and all that. He's this massive dude. It's scary.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, the cutaway kills on that are really good when he slams the door, and just like the imagery in that movie is just really weird and crazy. Like it makes me like sweat and feel gross. Like it's like a movie I shouldn't be watching. Like
Yeah,
Gunnar Hansen is he passed away, correct? I believe he did.
I believe it was a few
Unfortunately.
years ago. Unfortunately, yeah.
Yeah, he made a cameo in Texas Chainsaw 3D. He was in the beginning of that movie, acting as a Sawyer family member.
Yeah.
That was cool to have him. Terrible, good movie, but I'm glad he was in the franchise. One thing I wanted to say, I think you discussed this in one of your videos as well, is that Kane Hodder. I feel like Kane Hodder could have been a cool Leatherface in this movie because he was in part 2, correct?
He was when they did the test screenings for the third movie, he
Oh,
played
okay.
Leatherface, but he does not actually appear in the third movie as Leatherface, unfortunately. But he like kind of played Leatherface technically.
Yeah, and I heard he did the motion capture for the video game, for this upcoming
Oh,
video game.
oh no
Yeah,
way! I didn't know that.
yeah,
Okay,
'cause
sweet.
he did the motion capture for Friday the 13th, the game as well.
Yeah, I remember reading that, but I didn't know he did the Leatherface one too.
Yeah,
Okay,
he
cool.
did the
Yeah.
Leatherface motion cap, which is awesome. Like he definitely would nail the mannerisms in the movement of Leatherface.
Yes,
My
100%.
favorite. Oh my god. You know what? For how wild and crazy this movie is, Next Generation Leatherface is so crazy that I love it. Like I don't know what it is. Like it's so fucking hilarious. I love his face. Like I use his face as thumbnails sometimes. And it's just like the perfect expression, like him screaming with like the wig and the makeup on.
I know the face. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. That scene is amazing. I love I do like Gunnar Hansen in the original. I love the pretty lady face he has. I don't know what it is. That face is the creepiest out of all of them, in my opinion. Like
Yeah,
that.
I like this new mask, and it's scary.
Me
Like
too.
it's his mom's face that he's wearing, which is really
Mhm.
messed up. But yeah, no, that original look just, oh god,
Yeah, the
it's
makeup and the
horrifying.
blush. It's like it's
Yeah,
so creepy.
yeah,
It's like I remember watching that original. I remember my dad. I remember talking to it about my dad when I was a kid, and he was telling me about the movie, how it's crazy and it's weird, and I was scared, so scared of the original when I was a kid. Like that ending terrified me. Like him doing rocking out with the chainsaw was just so creepy to me.
yeah. That
Like
ending just leaves you, and it just cuts. It just cuts to the credits. There's no music, nothing. It's yeah, no,
no,
it's horrifying.
Toby Hooper did a great job, like with
Mhm.
that movie. It was intended to be a black comedy. I don't know how. I don't like that's his words. And he passed away. I don't know when he passed away, but I don't get black comedy elements out of that. I don't know what's funny. Part 2 is definitely like that, but the
Yeah,
original is
they upped the comedy a
not
lot
like
in
that.
part 2,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, there's some I don't know. I don't know what he was trying to do with those movies. But I don't know, just the consistency, like we've said, is just off in this franchise.
It doesn't really know what to do for sure. It really doesn't. It's kind of turned into a slasher franchise. But hey, you know what? If they want to keep making movies like this, at least they got good kills. You know, there's
Yeah.
that.
And that's
They're enjoyable.
yeah, that's like the bare minimum for franchises, but at least they get it right. You
You're
know?
right. Yeah, you're not wrong. It's bare minimum, but I mean it's something.
Yeah, exactly. And also the remake is the Leatherface in that is awesome as well.
Yeah, yeah. That guy gives a good performance for sure.
Yeah, the when he takes off Jessica Biel's boyfriend's face and puts it on, that is hilarious because it looks so weird. It's like
It's kind of a funny shot. Yeah.
it's a newly like fresh face. I feel like this in this movie, the newest one by Netflix, they made it look better. Like it looked fresh and new, but it looked right. I guess I don't know. In the remake, the new face looked weird. It looked very strange. I don't know.
It still was creepy though. It was really off-putting. When something is human but it's like off, that's always the scariest looking monster designs for me, at least, and that's kind of what I got from this new Leatherface. So I don't know.
Yeah,
I'll take it.
yeah, and they kept it kind of in the shadows. Like it was like kind of like a lot of the shots besides like the early scene in the sunflower field. He's kind of kept indoors or at nighttime, which I think is very effective in horror movies. Just putting your horror villain in nighttime, like I think what It Chapter 1 did a great job as that too. Like they kind of stuck Pennywise to the darkness, which makes it a lot more scary. You don't really know what you're seeing for pretty much.
Yeah, that sewer sequence in It's with the one dude. I can't think of his name for the life of me.
Yeah,
it's a very dark sequence, but it's very effective.
Yeah, and then
he's got the lighter.
Yeah, him eating Georgie's hand in the sewer. I remember like freaking out like that they showed that. I'm like, whoa, that's not like the miniseries at all.
No,
Not
much
at
scarier kind of movie for sure.
Yeah, much darker. Yeah, that's pretty much it for all the spoilers. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below about this movie. This might be a little bit polarizing for people. I think everyone's kind of like either they think it's okay or they think it's really shitty. Like it's kind of either or. I mean, I've seen a couple of people give it like 8s and 9s. Like cool, like that's awesome. I'm glad you enjoyed it. I think that's good. I personally don't agree, but I think it's a passable movie. I think it's watchable. I respect what they tried to do.
Yeah, it was fun. It had great kills. I'll watch it again because it was so fat. Like the fast pacing, there's some funny lines of dialogue. There's some great kills. I'll
Exactly.
Take it. Sure.
Yeah.
You know,
that's
whatever.
That's the cliff notes of these reviews.
Yeah.
It's just good kills. And yeah. That's pretty much it for that. Thank you so much for joining me, Jake. I always have a great time when we're live streaming. We'll definitely have to plan some stuff again. There's a shit ton of like horror movies coming out, so
we'll lots to talk about.
Yeah, we'll definitely do another live stream too. Thank you everyone who joined the live stream whenever or however you're watching. I do appreciate it. Check out KillJoy Jake's channel. Awesome horror content on there. Definitely
thank you.
Give it a watch. And thank you so much for watching. And we'll see you guys later. I really appreciate you guys watching. Peace out, everybody.